Be part of the peace movement. Share this episode using hashtag the Great Disarmament and download the free peace resource guide at aviskovsbeck.com/peace guide. The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, Part 4, Trenches and Toxins. Hi, I'm Avis Kovsbeck, author, podcast host, and peace storyteller. This is The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, a special podcast series from Pieces Here tracing the parallel histories of how we learn to kill and how we might stop. If you're just joining us, welcome. Each episode maps a moment in the twin stories of war and agriculture. Today's episode takes us to the first half of the 20th century, 1900 to 1950, when humanity learned how to poison on an industrial scale. The trenches of World War I, the fields of the Dust Bowl, the rise of chemical warfare, first on humans, then on land. Setting the stage. This is the turning point. The moment when the tools of war and the tools of farming began to share not just a purpose, but a chemical formula. In World War I, we invented mustard gas and chlorine weapons. When the war ended, the factories didn't shut down. They pivoted. Those same compounds, rebranded as nitrates and organochlorines, became fertilizers and pesticides. We didn't stop making death. We just put it in the soil. This episode is titled Trenches and Toxins, How the 20th Century Made Poison Feel Like Progress. World War I marked the first widespread use of chemical warfare in human history. Tens of thousands died from chlorine, phosgene, and mustard gas, agents that didn't just kill but clung to lungs, soil, and memory. Meanwhile, Europe and North America faced a deepening food crisis. The war had decimated crops and disrupted supply lines. Soldiers returned home to depleted fields and hungry communities. Enter Fritz Haber, a German chemist whose name is forever tied to both death and sustenance. While helping develop poison gas for the German army in World War I, Haber also pioneered the Haber-Bosch process, technology that could fix nitrogen from the air and convert it into ammonia, creating synthetic fertilizer. What once took months through compost or manure now happened instantly at industrial scale. This breakthrough fed billions. The Haber-Bosch process is often credited with enabling the global population boom of the 20th century by creating nitrogen-rich fertilizer that allowed crops to grow at an unprecedented scale. But it came at a cost. These same synthetic fertilizers disrupted natural nitrogen cycles, polluted waterways with runoff, and degraded soil ecosystems. The Green Revolution it fueled masked its long-term damage, dead zones in oceans, loss of microbial life, and dependence on fossil fuel-based inputs. So while millions of humans were fed, billions of acres were slowly starved of their balance, their biodiversity, and their ability to self-renew. Then came World War II. New chemical cousins entered the scene, among them DDT, initially developed to fight typhus and malaria among soldiers. After the war, DDT entered everyday life. Spray your gardens, spray your kids, spray your chickens. No one asked what it would do to the bees or the birds or the soil itself, but someone was paying attention. Sir Albert Howard, botanist, mycologist, and early champion of organic agriculture. As war and industry turned chemistry against the earth, a quieter revolution was already blooming in the soil. Sir Albert Howard, working in India in the early 1900s, saw something the West had forgotten: farming as a relationship, not a conquest. While ammonium nitrate was being weaponized into both bombs and fertilizer, Howard was studying compost piles, fungal networks, and the invisible alchemy of decay. He warned against the mechanical thinking of his time. He believed that nature's processes, if respected, offered something stronger than control: resilience. He wrote, "The health of soil, plant, animal, and man is one and indivisible." In a century obsessed with yield and conquest, Howard's voice reminded us growth without balance is not progress, and feeding the world must not come at the cost of the world itself. What it means for us. This is when disfarmament becomes fully real. The tools of destruction no longer needed battlefields. They seeped into everyday life, onto crops, into rivers, into our bodies. War had come home, and agriculture had become armed. And perhaps the most dangerous part, it worked. Yields increased, grocery shelves filled, the danger lay hidden, silent beneath the surface. That's how disfarmament spreads, not with a bang, with a bag of nitrogen. From the page to the soil. The gas mask came first, then the silence stretched across a trench like a scream that never ends. In all quiet on the Western Front, Eric Maria Remarque writes, "We are forlorn like children and experienced like old men. We are crude and sorrowful and superficial. I believe we are lost." His novel follows young German soldiers whose souls were scorched not only by shells and shrapnel, but by the chemical fog of war. They inhale mustard gas and memory in equal measure. When the war ends, the chemicals remain. Factories shift from bombs to fertilizer. Mustard gas becomes pesticide, no longer sprayed at enemies, but over apple trees, wheat, cotton, childhood. We're told it is progress, but the soil remembers. The lungs of war and the lungs of the earth are not so different. Both were choked in the name of control. Remarque's soldiers return home disoriented, haunted, half alive, just like the soil, degraded, stunned, unsure how to grow again. And like the land, they were never asked what they needed, only what they could yield. And yet, the soil is not only a witness, it is still somehow willing. If we're brave enough to remember, if we're quiet enough to listen, something might still grow. Next episode, we enter the Cold War era when chemical dependency becomes corporate power and farming turns fully into a system of control. The episode is called Cold Crops. I'll see you there. That wraps up this episode of Pieces Here. Will you please take a moment to subscribe and share it with a friend? Subscribing helps others discover peaceful, independent storytelling, and it means a lot to me. I'm Avis Kaufsbeck, author of the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series, eco-adventure novellas for readers who care about environmental justice, joy, and saving the world one story at a time. You can learn more at aviskaufsbeck.com. Book 6, Mono Mutante, is now available at all major online retailers, or if you'd like to support my book directly, you can get the ebook at aviskaufsbeck.com/mono-mutante. It's a wild satirical ride through food, farming, and the messiness of recovery. When you subscribe to my list, you'll also be the first to hear about my next book, Bulletproof, which asks, what in the world are we going to do about guns? A link to subscribe is in the show notes. From October 18th to November 8th, 2025, I'm running a live Kickstarter campaign. I'd be so grateful if you'd visit aviskaufsbeck.com/Kickstarter to get notified. I'm creating a companion field journal for Book 1, One More Year, called Peace Stuff Primer, along with a stage play version of the book. I can't wait to share it with you. This episode was human narrated by me with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it ever makes something up. So far, no confessions, but if you think I've missed something or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. You'll find links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp in the show notes. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace.